developers. Welcome to the series of Introduction to Cloud Computing. So, if you want to get an introduction of cloud computing, the first part is available in the playlist. So, this is a continuation of it, and today our focus will be on infrastructure as service. Before starting with infrastructure as service, it would be good to discuss about few concepts. Uh, so the first thing is virtualization. As you would have heard, this is a buzzword in the industry. Long before cloud computing was introduced, this is something which we are using day to day in our uh, activity. Probably we are not sure what is it. So the definition says in computing, virtualization refers to the act of creating a virtual version of something, including virtual computer, hardware platforms, storage device, and computer network resources. So it's like virtually splitting a computer resource. It could be a machine, or it could be a hard drive, or it could be a network resource, anything. In general, we call it as virtualization. Say you would have only one hard drive in your laptop or computer, but you would split it logically into two or three divisions. So that is a virtualization. It is not necessarily always a computer. The next one we are going to look is virtual machine. What is a virtual machine? Virtual machine is a software computer that is like physical computer, runs on operating system and application. So it's like a computer which is splitted, a single computer which is splitted into many logical units, uh, which acts as a individual computer. Say for instance there is only one server machine, probably you can have multiple virtual machines which is actually splitted, logically splitted. The next one is container. What is a container? Container is a operating level virtualization, which is like you have a computer where you can create a container in that computer where it can have a different OS and the applications can be different. In an operating system, you can virtually split a computer so that a certain application which is available in one container, not in other. The best example is Docker, which is very frequently used in these days. What are the different types of cloud computing? The first is private cloud, second is public cloud, and third is hybrid cloud. What is a private cloud? Private cloud is something which you would have seen in few offices or in your own offices, which is called as a data center, which is like you have your own resources which you will access. It's only for available for a private network, which is available only for a particular company or an organization. Whereas public cloud is what we are referring as Azure or Amazon, which they are providing. So it's like a cloud computing which is hosted by a hosted which can be accessed by any public. And what is a hybrid cloud? As the name suggests, it's a mix of both private cloud and public cloud. To give an example, probably you would run a web server or web API on a private cloud. Probably the web API will access the data or resources which is stored in the public cloud. So you are not exposed to the public cloud. You can access the data only through the private cloud, just for the safety or security reasons. Coming back to infrastructure as service, the core concept which we were about to talk, we were discussing about virtualization, virtual machines, and containers, just to have a clear understanding on these concepts. So infrastructure as a service is a concept which is which works around the concepts which we were discussing. So it's a form of cloud computing where you share the computer resource over internet. Computer resource in the sense it could be anything. It could be a hard drive, it could be a machine, it could be anything. A computer resource which is shared over internet. So you need an internet connection where the internet to the internet connection, the computer resource is shared by the cloud provider, where you will access the computing resource over the internet. The best example is the virtual machine which we borrow from Azure or from Amazon. So you get a machine as a which is an infrastructure, and you start using it or consume the computer resource. Or you can have a storage device, or even you can have a placeholder to store some data, anything of that. There are two types of networking which you can use in infrastructure as service. One is the public networking and other is the private networking. Say you have acquired a virtual machine with X cloud provider, and when you try to connect it, they provide a public IP where you connect through the public IP, which is a public networking. And private networking is like it's accessible. It's a public computer, but you can access it only through a VPN, which is available only for your organization. So that's a private network. So what are the things which you need to consider before acquiring infrastructure as service? The first thing is the cost. So say if you're purchasing a virtual machine, the type of virtual machine you can decide based on the price. Like Azure has S1, S2, all that stuff. So each has a different configuration and the price associated with it, which you need to calculate. And the second is the security. Security in the sense, what is the level of security? You're using a resource across over internet, so your data might be there, or your code could be there. So try to understand the security features which the cloud provider gives to you. And the next one is SLA, which is service level agreement. In case if the cloud if the service which is provided by the cloud has gone down, or the network is down, or any disaster happens, so you'll not be able to access your resource. So in that case, how is it coped up? Is there a replication happening, or is there a compensation you provided to the user, or how are you notified? So all those things should be taken care. That's it with infrastructure as service. We'll meet you with another session which talks about probably software as service. Thank you.